EU faces Brexit time bomb. Britain's departure to coincide with epic Brussels budget. w.ar. Iain Begg, from the London School of Economics, said the EU faces an intense internal battle as member states fight tooth and nail to protect their own interests in a world without British cash. The project is facing a whopping £9 billion a year black hole in its budget once the UK quits in 2019, which will have to be made up with increased contributions or swingeing budget cuts. But the club is starkly divided over which future to pursue, with richer member states like Austria and the Netherlands ruling out more cash and poorer ones like Poland set to veto any savings. To make matters even worse for Brussels, an agreement on the bloc's next multi-annual financial framework, the 7-year cycles under which EU spending is set, is due in early 2019. That is exactly the same time as Britain will be gearing up to formally leave the bloc at the end of the 2-year Article 50 process, meaning its bumper budget contributions the EU has got used to will end. EU Budget Commissioner Gunther Oettinger has proposed an even split, with 50% of the British shortfall being covered by member states and the other half by cuts, but this is unlikely to satisfy many. Professor Begg told Sputnik Radio, for all these reasons, there is a strong imperative in Brussels and in the EU institutions to induce, if not force, the UK to continue to pay in order to smooth this transition. It's always been an extremely acrimonious contest as to who pays what and who receives what, and that contest is going to start building up in the course of 2018 and will reach its crescendo in 2019, approximately coinciding with the Brexit negotiation. So that's why it's all potentially such a time bomb in the system. Another issue is that the different member states disagree over which aspects of the EU's budget to cut, with many favoring an increase in efficiency and slimming down of the bloc's vast institutions. However, others have turned their eyes towards the club's two biggest projects in terms of spending, the Common Agricultural Policy, CAP, and the Social Cohesion Fund, which together make up the majority of its budget. The CAP, which accounts for 40% of EU spending alone, is controversial because it doles out cash based largely on land ownership. For so long defended by the French, reform of it is now in Emmanuel Macron's sights. Meanwhile, the cohesion policy, which pays for infrastructure in the club's 16 poorest states, is under particular threat over the actions of Poland and Hungary, with some leaders saying they should be stripped of cash for failing to show solidarity. Professor Begg said, take Britain out, and somebody else has to make up that €10 billion, or those who receive money will have to forego €10 billion, and that's why, certainly in the short term, it's a particularly difficult issue for the negotiations. To put it into perspective, the gross amount, not the net amount, paid by the UK is equivalent to the entire payments by the 13 member states that joined the EU since 2004. That's all of Central Eastern Europe, Malta, Cyprus and so on. Therefore, it's a big hole. The countries which are usually classed among the net contributors, particularly the Germans, are extremely reluctant to pay more. The Swedish and Danish finance ministers have gone on record saying we're not paying a further cent when Britain leaves, therefore you'll have to reduce outgoings.